soy el fuego que...
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to your Realtor Sensei show. I am Sandra Jauregui Schlapitz, and today our guest is Israel Herrera. Israel, thank you very much to be here. Thank you for giving us your time. I will let you introduce yourself because I like the person that I'm having to the show. Tell about yourself. Tell us your story.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, Sandra. I really appreciate you and allowing me to share my story on this great platform here. My story is one, I'm a son of an immigrant. I'm an immigrant myself. I'm Panamanian. Came to this country when I was 7 years old. We didn't really have much. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And then I joined the military. I'm a retired military vet. When I retired from the military, I said to myself, I didn't want to punch the clock for anybody else. I wanted to make my own dream, my own vision come true, because we come from humble beginnings, and I wanted to change the financial trajectory of my kid's life. And I felt like real estate was the vehicle to do so. So I went and got my real estate license, and, started selling real estate, started investing. And, here I am basically, 4 years later, I'm here now. So I'm actually 7 years later. It's just this month right here set my 7-year goal, or 7-year mark in real estate. And I couldn't be more excited of what the future holds for us.
Wow, that is great. Are you the only son or you?
No, I am the oldest of four. I got two brothers and a sister. And one of my brothers lives in two of my brothers live in Washington State, and my sister lives in the state of Texas.
So tell us about your unique story of becoming an entrepreneur.
That was a very unique story, actually.
I know it's unique, so.
I did not want to, like I said, I didn't want to punch the clock for anybody else. So again, I decided to go get my real estate license, and in the parking lot of the real estate license school, I bought my very first investment property. I was in my vehicle. I was at lunch break from the school, and I was sitting next to my wife, and she didn't even know what I was doing. I was actually on a platform called auction.com. I started to bid on the property, which at the time you have to put your bid in, which was like you have to put a deposit down or whatever the case may be. At that time, $1,500 was a lot of money for me. And, if you don't know where Camden, New Jersey is, it's probably one of the worst cities in the United States. It's crime stricken. It's probably one of the highest crime rates in all of the United States. And I saw this property. It was boarded up. The property next to it was not only was the property boarded up, but the property next to it was burned down and had fire damage. And I bought this property. I started bidding on this property. It was like, man, this property is kind of cheap, right? So I started bidding on it, and it's like an addiction, right? Like you're at the poker table, like, oh, one more bid. Finally, I was like, that's it. That's the last bid. I hit the last bid, and I won the bid. I ended up winning this property for $3,700 or $3,600, something like that. I bought this property for, and when I got this property, I went to go see it after school. I'm driving over there. I'm like, man, I can't believe that I bought this property. What am I doing? I just spent $3,000 or $3,500, something that my family really, really needed that we could not afford to lose. And when I got there, me and my wife looked at each other. We were like, this is what you bought? This is what we just spent all this money on that we needed to pay bills and probably pay mortgage and things like that. So I was like, man, what have I done? Needless to say, that was not a very good conversation going back home with me and her. So I go around, I open the property up, and I'm like, man, I got all these HGTV dreams. I'm going to renovate this property, make it look like the Taj Mahal. No, that did not happen. All right. And it didn't happen because I didn't think about the next step, which is the contractor, which is really the number one and the most important thing about renovating properties is your contractor. If you have a contractor that's worth the while, you're going to do amazing in this business. If you do not have that contractor, it's going to be very, very difficult for you. So I kept getting numbers that I couldn't afford to do. The renovation, it was, $50,000, $60,000, $80,000. You're talking about a property, a row home at the time where nothing in the neighborhood has sold for more than $70,000, right? So I'm talking about all of my equity gone. So I had this bright idea. I said, you know what? Let me just take a chance and put it on the MLS. I had gotten my real estate license at the time by then, passed my test and all that stuff. We were excited. That was my first listing, actually. My first investment property was my very first listing.
Wow.
Put it on the MLS. I put it on the market for $29,000, trying to swing for the fences. I didn't get any hits. And then I lowered it to $25,000. Still got not many hits. Then I had a conversation with my broker at the time. And he told me, hey, listen, you're either going to hold it and, keep wasting time, or you're going to get it to a sexy number. And I got it to a sexy number, which was $19,900, $20,000. And I got tremendous action at that point in time. Ended up selling that property. So I made a quick $16,000 or so on that property without ever swinging a hammer. And I was hooked ever since from there. I've never looked back.
Wow. How crazy is that to
It's
buy
very
a
crazy.
property
Unseen.
right there,
Right there.
not even knowing what comes next?
Yeah.
As I heard in auctions, I actually help many investors here in Naples, Collier County, to buy at the county. You can have liens in the property. You can have the taxes not paid. You can have so many things that you can find after the fact.
Yes.
You cancel it all. It's like it's like you just said, you gamble.
Yes. Yep. I gamble. I gamble.
Your only money that you had.
Yeah. It was a very large amount of money for me at the time, for sure. And I just didn't want to take no for an answer. I was tired of living the life of average when it came to something like that. And I just wanted to change the family trajectory. And I just felt like real estate was the vehicle. And it showed me that then, because maybe if I'd have lost all that money and then some, I probably wouldn't have been where I am right now. But it showed me like this, and this is true. All the YouTube videos that you see out there, it's actually right. It's true. People are making money like this. And I always had an interest in real estate ever since I was a little kid, living in Brooklyn, New York, living, in apartment buildings. I used to always think to myself, like, man, who owns this apartment building? I lived in an apartment building with 4 floors. Each floor had 4 apartments in it. So you're talking about 16 units in Brooklyn. I mean, we're all paying. And now think about the amount of rent that these guys are paying there in every unit. So I used to always I'm a numbers guy. My math is my favorite subject. So I used to always calculate those numbers and say, man, this guy's rich. Whoever owns this building is rich. As a young man, I'm thinking this like a little boy. So I always had interest in real estate when it came to things like that.
Wow. You brought me back to when I started real estate, which was in 2000. Naples there was nothing. And I'm here in Golden Gate Estates, which is an area that the lots were selling very cheap. I didn't have money, but I had a credit card.
Yeah.
Let me buy that lot. And it was like $3,500. And it was also for me, like, I'm just new. I'm studying. I know English. It was I have to go back to my story, but to the point of gambling, I bought this lot for $3,000, and I did exactly what you done. And I started my investment career that way. But yours was more scary because you're talking about a house. You're talking about something that you didn't even see. And
not only that, in areas like, what is one of the biggest questions that we get from buyers is, hey, how's the school system? How's the area? Is it safe? Is it a nice area? No, I bypassed all the red flags, and it was not the worst. There was the worst areas, the worst school systems. I mean, it was terrible. But I don't know. I kind of got like a sense of pride and a sense of feeling, because I come from that. I come from that, and not everything is bad in those environments, in those cities. Not everyone is bad. We have some really, really good individuals, really good neighborhoods, really good places there. And I wanted to bring light to that. So after that, I mean, it just springboarded me. I bought and sold over 60 properties in that one city alone.
Wow. And that was my next question. How long did it take to buy your second property, your second investment?
Yeah, so I bought my second investment pretty quickly. Ironically, I bought it in one of the best neighborhoods in all the state of New Jersey, which is most of New Jersey. I bought it. It was a row home again, actually a twin property. And actually, that's the property that I ended up losing a lot of money in. I ended up losing almost $18,000 in that property. because I bought it, I rehabbed it. Again, it comes in the question of the contractor. I went cheap. I hired the contractor that sold me a dream, that said that he was going to do this thing in like 3 weeks, and for $35,000 less than anybody else was quoting me. I hired him. Turns out the guy wasn't even licensed, wasn't even insured, and my permits had not even been initiated at the county. So not only did my job get shut down, but I lost all this money, and I also had to turn over and sign over the rights of my property to the hard money lender.
Wow.
But that was the best $18,000 that I ever lost in my life. It was an education that was amazing to me, because it's true what they said. You're either going to pay somebody to mentor you, or you're going to pay somewhere along the way with mistakes, and that's completely true. And I paid along the way. But listen, that property taught me so much. It now taught me how to vet contractors. It taught me to make sure I ask for the right questions in contractors, as far as what licenses they have, what insurance they have, and what experiences they have. I go check out these contractors' projects before even hiring them, anybody new. We bring on contracts and things like that, and never do I give up all the money up front. I try to give up as little as possible of a deposit down payment to keep them honest, right? So it taught me all of that all in one property, to be honest with you.
And that's something that I would like for you to tell the audience. I am sure that you use a strategic and steps to go to the property to do the numbers. I know you said you are the numbers person. So in order for you to bid in a property, tell us a little bit, how do you start and where do you go from there?
To bid on a property?
Not to just bid in the property. Before you're going to bid in the property, what do you do to know if that's the right property?
Yeah.
What are your steps to actually say, this is the one, I'm going to go forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. I look at the data. I never get emotional about these properties. I look at the data. The more data, the better. The more likeness of property, the better. Because if you have strong comps and strong data within that neighborhood, I'm all in. I'm gonna buy ASAP. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter what neighborhood you're really in. If the data supports the ARV, which stands for the after repair value of the property, after you renovate the property and put all the pretty bells and whistles in it, then I'm gonna buy, depending on what the purchase price is. So I just walk the dog back. So what the asking price is, I walk it back.
And what are your numbers where you will say in percentage? You will say, okay, I did my numbers backwards and I would get this amount. What is that percentage that you use that you will say this is a good investment?
Percentages, I really don't do much. I really want to make at least, what the percent I want to make is somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20% ROI minimum. But we have been doing so great this past year that we've been averaging somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 42% ROI on all of our floats. It's been amazing for us. We're really blessed. But yeah, you as an investor, you typically want to be in the 18 to 20% ROI to be able to get a good number, because you have to realize that big check at the end of the day is sexy, right? But what people don't tell you is that you have to not only acquire the property, you have to renovate the property, you have to hold the property for the end buyer. So that big check ends up you getting paid in 3, 4, 5 months possibly, right? So your processes is very important to be able to get this property. You have to get in and out of these properties very quickly, so that way you can accumulate them. And then the bigger checks that become 1, 2, 3, 4 checks in 1 month. And then that's when you really roll in the money. That's when you really have a business.
Now, do you focus only in the area that you live, or you go different states? What are you doing?
People call me crazy for this, but I'm all over Central Florida. All over Central Florida. I live in Orlando, and I'm buying properties in Tampa. I'm buying properties in Winter Haven. I'm buying properties in Deltona, Eustis, everywhere. I'm buying properties everywhere. Everywhere there's a deal, I'm buying them. Today I'm going to Ocala. or today or tomorrow, I'm going to Ocala to see a property. I want to start merging into the markets of where you're at right now, into Fort Myers, an area like that. I have a brother-in-law that's out there, and I'm interested in going into areas like that. But we're also going to start opening back up New Jersey as well, because New Jersey is, our back home. That's our neck of the woods. So we know that thing like the back of our hand. So we're going to start to open that up come first quarter of 2022.
Wow. So you actually visit the properties, or you keep buying unseen?
I sometimes buy sight unseen. I sometimes, if the deal is red hot, I say, hey, let me just buy this thing sight unseen and get right to it. Because I've studied the numbers, right? I know what they're supposed to be. I know how to get to them to the right number that I want them. But then I actually go see the property once I'm under contract. Sometimes if I did it like that, I only do it like that really if I trust the seller or if I trust the person that's bringing me the deal, right? If I've done business with them in the past, I do that. But these guys, it's all about speed, guys. To be honest with you, if you know that the property is hot, you go visit it. Go do it right now, because if you don't, then another investor is going to do it. Another investor that's willing to take high risk like myself is going to be able to lock that up, because again, it goes back to the numbers. If the numbers make sense, you can afford to make a ton of mistakes in the middle. But if you're tight on the numbers, I suggest you visit them. So I visit most of my properties, all of them really. But if I know that the deal is hot, I'm putting it on the contract right away, because I have my due diligence period in the contract anyway. So if I put it under contract, I have my due diligence period of 3 or 4 or 5 days, whatever the case may be. Gives me time to go see the property and inspect it and do what I got to do. And if I feel like it's a complete disaster, then I'm getting out of there. But if not, then I'm popping the champagne.
Yeah, that's great. So when you buy, are you buying this in auction, or you buying this as the acquisition companies? How you find these deals?
So I'm marketing. I'm doing my own marketing. I'm finding these properties myself mostly, but I have a relationship with other investors in all the areas that bring me deals too. They know that I buy a lot, so they bring me deals, and I acquire them from them. I used to buy properties from the courthouse steps. Mm-hmm. I bought over 125 properties from the courthouse steps. That's actually where I made my living in the beginning of my investment career. I would buy them straight from the courthouse steps. And what you're talking about, going to the courthouse steps to buy properties, is big boy investing, because yes, you get them, and you just don't know whether the property is going to have a water lien, a tax bill, a tax certificate that needs to be paid. Somebody probably bought this thing on tax lien auction, and now they got to get paid. It can come with a whole laundry list of encumbrances that you don't know. And you can get burned really quickly, but it's big boy investing, because as soon as you win that bid at the courthouse steps, you have to put down 20%, 10%, whatever the rules are for that county, and then you got to come back in a few days or in less than a month to pick up that deed, and you have to bring it all in cash. There's no financing involved in that.
Yeah, that is a little bit, I believe, more scary. So you're buying directly from sellers.
Yeah,
that you actually doing your homework and finding these properties yourself.
Right. I go directly to the seller. I skip the source, the middleman, which is probably the bank. I go directly to the seller and try to get them to help them out, become a solution for them before they get to the auction and before they get to a sales auction date, so that I can help them out in any way that I possibly can. So I go directly to the seller to do marketing for sure.
Sorry about that. I got the itch throat.
Oh, you're fine.
So let's talk about, do you buy these properties with your cash? Are you leverage money from hard money, or how are you doing?
I sometimes use my own cash, but other times, most of the times, I'm leveraging money. I have a great relationship with a money partner of mine that we've done business for over 5 years or so, and that's allowed us the opportunity to scale us in the fashion that we scale so far. So it's always faster to get there if you're leveraging money, leveraging your credit. You could do that as well. but it's always faster to get to multiple properties and multiple deals at the same time if you're leveraging money. But it also comes down to the relationships. You have to make sure that you prove yourself. You have to make sure that you know what you're doing, because whoever's giving you this cash, has to be able to trust you, and they have to be able to know that you can make this happen. So, but yeah, we sometimes use our own cash, but sometimes more than likely we're leveraging other people's cash.
And are the rates high rates because it's directly from like an investor's money, or you?
Listen, I don't look at it as high rates or anything like that. I don't look at it like that at all. I look at it as an opportunity, right? Because you can have 100% of everything or 100% of nothing, right? So I'd rather have 100%. I have 100%, a little bit of a percent of something, to be honest with you. So that's the way I look at it. So if I can pay whatever it is, 10, 15, 20% of someone's money to be able to do this deal, then I have 80% left, 80% of a big chunk of a profit. And that feeds my family very well, So I look at it as that. Some people think about it as, hey, that's too expensive. That money's too expensive. But what if it was yours? If it was your money, you'd want to get paid on that type of money as well. And I take that into account. So I don't look at it as whether it's expensive or not. I just look at it as a cost of doing business. And everybody should be getting compensated the right way when you're in business with them.
And actually, they are actually helping build your legacy. So why would you look in the number when you can duplicate or do more with their money? So they're helping you.
Absolutely, it's definitely a legacy builder, and at the end of the day, you should be proud of that. You should be rewarded and feel grateful for that, because they're definitely expanding your business in that sense. You built your reputation, you built the business, but you want to partner with the right individuals to be able to get you to the next level.
That's our mindset that we should have always. What is our next step? And you are there. I'd follow you in social media. And I know that you closed your 21. Am I wrong, or you are already?
We bought our 21st deal already last week. We are in line to buy our 22nd deal either today or very early next week, maybe Tuesday. So we're rocking and rolling. By the end of the month, we'll be at 24. So we're rocking and rolling to that 30 mark for sure.
So, and we're talking about year to date, correct?
Year to date, yep.
And let me ask you, do you flip all of them, or you keep some of them as
Well, that is a great question. I just had a conversation about this with a great friend of mine last night, and I tell you, I'm going to tell you a story. I flip everything now. I keep everything, because I used to wholesale, and I still will wholesale. I love wholesaling. I love being able to put people together, put an investor with another seller, and make deals happen. I love brokering deals and being the connector between the matchmaking in that sense. But we had a deal under contract. We bought it up for 189, and I'm gonna just be completely honest with you, because I'm gonna do the video here shortly on these three deals actually. Had it under contract for 189. We put this thing on Facebook Marketplace. So for all investors out there, if you're trying to figure out a cheap way to market, if you find a deal, put it on Facebook Marketplace. If the deal is hot and it's strong, you'll see how many investors and people call you on this deal. Your notifications on your messages will blow up. Okay. So I'll put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I also circle prospected around the MLS. I used the filter in my MLS to find out who was buying properties cash in this zip code, half a mile or a mile away. And I noticed that there was a lot of action on it. So I started calling these realtors and figuring out, hey, who's buying these properties? Your guy still wants to buy, so forth and so on. So I was able to get investors out to this property on Saturday. This was on a Thursday night that we got this thing locked up with these properties. And I got these investors out there on Saturday morning, kind of like a open house type of thing. When we found them, by the end of the day, I had like 7 or 8 investors come through that property. I was able to sell that property for $240,000. I had it under contract for $189,000.
Oh my goodness.
So this was just for moving paper, right? Just selling my interest in the property that I had under contract. Now I'm thinking, hey, home run. It's time to go to Cancun. It's time to celebrate. We're living large, right? It's a pretty big check, almost $50,000 check. But when I then circled back with that property, and I wanted to find out, hey, how did that property turn out? That investor renovated that property, put it on the market. You won't believe how much he sold this property for, or she sold this property for. She sold this property for $379,000.
Oh
So this is the reason. This particular property is the reason why I keep everything now. I keep everything, especially with that big of a spread, because I could have easily put $50,000 into this thing, and been up $120,000, $140,000 on one deal. That is the what I love most about investing in the vehicle that we're living in real estate.
That's amazing. It's really, and it's really nice to feel that and to learn, because you're learning from all that. Now tell me, you also doing real estate for general real estate, or you just concentrate in your own?
No, we also do general real estate. My wife and I are both broker associates. We're partners. We run a very successful business in a very busy life. If you follow me at all on social media, you see that I got 2 sons, and they're very busy themselves. So we do a lot of retail deals. Today we're probably at 47 or so transactions, retail wise, and we have the 21 flips on our end as well. So we do everything. We do retail, we sell REO properties, and then we do our investments as well. So we have many divisions and many arms to our properties.
That is amazing. And I'm sure you have a full team under you, because you need support and have a system for all what you're doing. It is really amazing. So let's say, what would you say, or what are your thoughts? Tell the audience of a way of advice if someone is interested on do these investments. Should they do it with someone like you that knows what they're doing? Can they try it themselves? What would be your advice?
My advice would be to get a mentor for sure, and to pay whatever that mentor's cost is to pay, because like I said, you can either take my advice as far as like knowing that you're going to pay some way somehow. Either you pay with lessons learned, or you pay someone to get you to skip all those that learning curve and get right to the money and get right to the success right away. But my suggestion would be, go after the deal. Find the deal. Don't worry about where the money's coming from. Don't worry about no buyers list. You have a lot of people out there. You have to have a ton of buyers on your list. No, you don't. You just need one buyer. And if the deal has enough equity in it, the money will come. If the deal has enough equity in it, the money will come. Just like the story I just told you about. I never thought that I would get so many buyers at this property. Unbeknownst to me, I'm thinking this property is like the 325 or so mark, 330. No, it was 380. But I knew it because I had enough action on the property. So if you find a good deal, get it under contract. Do not be afraid. You can call me. I can walk you through it. We can partner up if you want to flip it. I'm all about not only building my legacy, but building others people's legacies and getting them to that path to our financial freedom, because I think it's important. I think it's very important, especially in the way society is going today. It's very important to have a source of income, your own legacy, and your own income that you can rely on. So my advice would be, get it under contract. Don't worry about anything else. You have a due diligence period. You can worry about those things at the end. You can call me and I can walk you through all those things.
Great. Thank you very much, Israel. I know that was a great advice. I don't have, if you want to give them an information how to reach, I will reach personally to get mentored by you, because I had done this, but as I mentioned to you in our conversation, I am afraid to go back and lose again.
Right.
So I know that word afraid should not be there, but
No,
but
no, I shouldn't. No, I shouldn't. So you can reach out to me. You can call me. You can reach out to me on my personal number, 609-610-6222. Or you can reach out to me on my IG or my Facebook. It's Israel.a.herrera. On any one of those platforms, I'll be able to reach back out to you, or my personal cell phone. I just gave it to you, and I'll also put it here in my chat. But again, I'm an easy guy to get along with. I'm very easy to and I always answer my phone. That's the one thing about me. If I don't pick up, I will call you back. If you shoot me a text and I don't get to you because I'm very busy, I'll definitely get back to you, because I was once that young investor that got shunned upon because I was young and I didn't know. It seemed like I didn't know what I was doing. I vowed that when I got to a certain level, I wouldn't do that to other investors, because it's not rocket science, guys. It's just putting together a deal and getting paid on it because you brought the deal to the table. So you can reach out to me, and I'll always have time. I'll always make time. I promise you on that.
Great. Thank you very much for your time, Israel, and I will see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Sandra, for having me. I'm going to put my number here on the chat. And if you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to give me a call. And I thank you for letting me come on your platform. I appreciate it.
We're going to bring you to Naples. Wait
We're
a minute. We're going to
go. Let me get to the beach.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good one.